Ellie Harper had never been the adventurous type. The quiet, bookish girl was content with her small-town life, dreaming of college and a life beyond the sleepy streets of Maplewood. That was until Raven Blackwood walked into her life. Raven was everything Ellie wasn't: dark, enigmatic, and unapologetically bold. With her leather jacket, piercing green eyes, and a devil-may-care attitude, she was a walking storm. Ellie first saw her at a diner, sitting in a corner booth, toying with a black coffee. Their eyes met, and Ellie's heart skipped a beat. "See something you like?" Raven's voice was low, teasing. Blushing furiously, Ellie stammered, I didn't mean to stare." Raven smirked. "It's okay. I don't mind being admired." That night, Ellie couldn't stop thinking about her. She didn't know that meeting Raven would change her life forever. Raven pursued Ellie with an intensity that left her breathless. Late-night drives, whispered conversations under the stars, and kisses that made Ellie forget the world. It was intoxicating, like Raven had unlocked a part of her she didn't know existed. But Raven was guarded. She never talked about her past, her family, or where she went when she wasn't with Ellie. There were moments when Ellie caught a flicker of something cold in her eyes, a darkness that made her shiver, but she ignored it. Raven made her feel alive, and that was all that mattered. One night, after they'd been dating for a month, Raven gave Ellie a gift, a silver locket. "Keep it close," Raven murmured. "It's a piece of me." Ellie didn't know that the locket held more than sentimental value. The first time Ellie suspected something was wrong, she was at Raven's apartment. Raven had stepped out to grab takeout, leaving Ellie alone. Curiosity got the better of her, and she started exploring. In a drawer, Ellie found a collection of Polaroid photos. At first, they seemed like ordinary snapshots of Raven, smiling, sitting on her motorcycle, staring into the distance. But then Ellie noticed the background. The photos were taken at crime scenes she'd seen on the news. Her stomach churned as she flipped through them, her hands trembling. The last photo showed Raven standing over a man's lifeless body, her eyes alight with a chilling satisfaction. When Raven returned, Ellie confronted her. "What are these?" she demanded, holding up the photos. Raven didn't flinch. "They're my trophies," she said calmly, setting the takeout on the counter. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Ellie's breath caught. She couldn't bring herself to say it. "A killer," Raven finished for her. "But it's not what you think. I don't hurt innocent people, Ellie. Only those who deserve it." Over the next few weeks, Raven tried to explain herself. She painted herself as a vigilante, targeting abusers, criminals, and those who had escaped justice. "The world's better without them," she said, her tone matter of fact. "You might not understand now, but you will." Ellie wanted to run, to tell someone, to scream, but she didn't. She loved Raven, even if she didn't fully understand her. And a small, twisted part of her felt exhilarated knowing Raven would do anything to protect her. Raven promised Ellie she would never hurt anyone unless they deserved it. "You're my light, Ellie," she whispered one night, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You keep me human." Ellie clung to those words, desperate to believe them. Everything changed when Raven killed someone Ellie knew, her high school teacher, Mr. Carlton. Ellie had always thought he was a kind man, but Raven insisted he was a monster behind closed doors. "I saw him with one of his students," Raven explained, her voice cold. "The way he touched her, he won't do it again." Ellie felt like the ground was crumbling beneath her. "You can't just decide who lives and dies," she screamed. "You're not God." Raven's expression softened. "I do it for you, Ellie, so you don't have to live in a world filled with monsters." Ellie couldn't bring herself to leave. The love she felt for Raven was a cage, and she didn't know if she wanted to escape. Raven's killings became more frequent, and Ellie was pulled deeper into her world. One night, Raven showed up at Ellie's window, blood on her hands and a wild look in her eyes. "I need your help," she said, her voice shaking. Against her better judgment, Ellie followed Raven to the woods. There, she saw the body of a man sprawled on the ground. Raven handed Ellie a shovel. "We have to bury him." Ellie wanted to refuse, to scream, to run, but she didn't. She dug, her hands blistering and her tears mixing with the dirt. When it was done, Raven kissed her. "You're mine, Ellie," she whispered. "Forever." Ellie's guilt began to consume her. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't look at herself in the mirror. Raven noticed, but brushed it off. "You'll get used to it," she said. "You're stronger than you think." But Ellie wasn't sure she wanted to be strong. She started avoiding Raven, making excuses to stay away. Raven grew suspicious. One night, Raven confronted her. "You're slipping away," she said, her voice breaking. "I can feel it." Ellie couldn't meet her eyes. "I can't do this anymore." Raven's face darkened. "You think you can just leave me, after everything we've done together?" "I don't have a choice," Ellie said, tears streaming down her face. Raven's smile was cold. "Oh, Ellie, there's always a choice." Ellie decided to go to the police. She knew it was dangerous, but she couldn't live with herself if she stayed silent. As she left her house that night, she felt a shadow following her. Raven was waiting for her in the woods. "I knew you'd betray me," she said, her voice like ice. "But I can't let you go." Ellie begged for her life, tears streaming down her face. "I loved you, Raven." Raven hesitated, her knife trembling in her hand. "I loved you too, but love isn't enough." The next morning, Ellie's body was found in the woods, her silver locket still around her neck. Inside, a note written in Raven's elegant handwriting read, "Forever yours. Love, Raven."